Alright, so it's an unfortunate reality that some of the bikes that come here to the farm never get fixed up. They get parted out. I'd say roughly about a quarter of my bikes I don't even attempt to fix up just because it's not going to be cost effective for me to work on so hard to get, I don't know, $1,000 out of them or whatever. So I part them out on eBay, Craigslist, and online forums. Here we have two Goldwings. That's a 81 and an 83. We got a Honda Matic over there. This right here is a GS 450. And these bikes just sort of get picked clean. At first, I didn't really realize how to make money off of eBay and how to be profitable about it, but I picked up a couple of tips and tricks along the way. So I'm going to share those with you guys in case you want to do the same, and point out some of the more profitable parts of motorcycles that I always look for when I'm assessing a potential parts bike to get parted out. First off, I should probably let you guys know that you're not going to win any friends parting out bikes on eBay. I've had guys tell me quite often actually that I should be ashamed of myself for taking a bike apart, because if I didn't have the mechanical aptitude to fix the bike, I shouldn't be, ducking out and parting the bike out. I should give it to somebody who knows what to do with it and blah 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 blah, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, these guys hate you until they need you, when they need to go to eBay and buy the part for their bike that is discontinued by Suzuki or Honda or whatever. And then when you finally ship the part to them, they bitch at you because it's not a perfectly restored part, or it's not in brand new condition. The fact of the matter is that you are selling used parts. You're selling them at significantly discounted rates. No one is ever going to pay brand new, $1,200 for your set of carburetors that they would pay from a dealer if the dealer even carried it. But a lot of people don't really realize that. They want their parts to come in perfect working order or in perfect cosmetic condition, and they want to pay a dirt cheap price for it. So it's difficult dealing with eBay, to say the least. It's set up so that the power is completely in the hands of the buyer. The buyer can leave you this feedback, which really affects how your sales go in the future. If you've got bad feedback, then people look at that and they don't want to buy from you. I'll show you my feedback here, which is good, not great, in my opinion. I wish it was a little bit better. Just while I wait for this to load up. Basically, what these people do is they rate their experience with you, and so they can give you positive, like you can see here. I've got all these positives here, right? I've sold 14 articles in the past month that people thought they wanted to rate as positively, and I haven't had any negative feedback in a while. See, here's a little bit of negative feedback and neutral feedback, but I mean, people generally say, yeah, it's fast shipping, da-da-da, fast shipper, all that stuff. Sometimes you get a negative one, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, like I said, it's in the hands of the buyer, because as a seller, you can't leave negative feedback. And so, like, you can only leave positive feedback for your buyers. And so if they take 2 weeks to pay, or they don't pay at all, or whatever, you can't leave feedback that reflects that. They can only judge you, which I think is bullshit. Also, you might do everything right. You might get the payment, you might send the part out, and and maybe the post office loses it. This has happened to me a couple of times when I ship internationally. The post office will lose the package, and then they say, oh, where's my package, I want a refund, and I'm going to leave you negative feedback, and then you're just screwed on two ends, because now you've paid for the shipping, you lost your part, you've paid eBay because eBay takes a cut, you've paid PayPal because PayPal takes a cut, and now you have negative feedback. And so it's just, it can be difficult, to say the least. It's sort of a test in your patience, but you can make a little bit of money. I'll show you. Whoops, went too far. These are all the ads that I have up now. not very many of them are bid on, because they're sort of like the weird ancillary things that nobody's really in the market for. Because I haven't had a new bike in quite a while, you know. But I've got a couple bids. See, this green one here is bid, you know, da-da-da. And another green one. And you can also see how much money I've made in the past 2 months, which I paid taxes on. Thank you. So you can make a little bit of money. It's not a great amount of money that I make, but it's definitely supplemental for what I do. Alright, so let's say you've set yourself up, you got yourself a nice little digital camera, you got yourself an eBay account, and you've linked it to a PayPal account, and you're ready to go get a bike. You go get a bike, and let's say it's some just generic bike, maybe 1980 CB650 or something like that. Vintage bike, nothing too spectacular about it, but there's a good demand because there's a bunch of them out there, so there's a good demand for parts. However, parts are readily available because there are a bunch of them out there, so you can't charge too much for your parts. But anyway, it's just very middle of the road, you know, KZ650 or CB650 or something like that. All right, how do you go about, you know, parting this bike out? Well, you can watch my how to build a motorcycle video in reverse, and you can just take all the parts off it, and then you go about and take pictures of your parts and put them on eBay and sell them. So now we're going to go through some of the really hot ticket items on these motorcycles, what I usually go to first, and I'll tell you what I generally just throw out because it's worthless. Remember, before we get into this, that if you have something that's really rare or weird, or it's a performance part or a cosmetic part, it's going to fetch more money. This is a coffin tank from the 70s that I'm trying to get like 120 bucks for. Pretty badass tank for a chopper. Really, really cool. Also, these are old Goldwing parts in here. If you've got a GL 1100, this is one of these cover plates that go on your front rotors. Really neat cosmetic piece that I'm charging like 65 bucks for. Pretty worthless functionally, but it's a cosmetic piece, and so they fetch a lot of money, as do things like these Goldwing mud flaps, charging 50 bucks for the set. Pretty neat. So we'll go through these and we'll see how much this stuff is worth. Carbs are my go-to part. I make sure that it looks pretty nice, that all the linkage works, the slides move up and down, no obvious damage, and I just sell it like that. Headlights are good too. I always test them to make sure they work. Regulator rectifiers, lights and such, which I also test and make sure that no lenses are cracked. Gauges. This year's a tech, but if you have a speedometer, especially a low mileage speedometer, good stuff. Headlight bucket. Starter solenoids are going bad all the time. These sell like hotcakes. Ooh, this one is from a 650. How about that? Coils. Also CDI boxes, or as Virago owners would say, a TPI or TCI or whatever y'all call them. They go for a lot of money. I just sold a Virago CDI, TPI, whatever, for something like $140, and it was like a 1985. Yeah, they go for a ton of money. I don't know if I have any here to show y'all. They go for a lot of money. Fuel pump. Ignitions with good keys. Make sure it works smoothly. Nice mirrors, especially if they're the type that's not really universal, like this Goldwing mirror. Brake master cylinder. Probably the biggest thing to look for is the fact that your little plunger in here is not seized. Just move it back and forth. Make sure it's not seized. And then advertise that on eBay. little emblems and stuff like that. Ornamental or unique things, such as this horn with this little chrome cover. Gas tanks, especially if it's got a cap with a working key. You're going to want to look under and in it. These will probably warrant a couple of pictures, just to show that it's not all rusted out with holes and junk. These side emblems are great. If the paint is really good, then you can get a good amount of money for it. Usually the paint is not good, but if it's dented or if there's holes in it, I just throw them away. I don't even bother. This is a good one. Side panels. This is a side panel from a KZ440, and that's actually a saddlebag lid from a Goldwing. Crash bars. Everyone loves a crash bar. Sissy bars. Fender. Here's a special little thing. This is a torque converter. Does your bike have a torque converter? Because mine does. Wiring harnesses are only good if they have not been shredded to shit like this one has. If it's all still wrapped up like this, good stuff. Seats, obviously worth a lot more if the seat cover is good. This one is next to worthless. Kids are always dropping their sport bikes, and they are always in need of new plastic fairing body parts. The price on these varies widely. I've been working my ass off to sell these GSXR 1100 body parts. Nobody seems to want them, but I just ran out of Katana body parts like crazy. Like, I couldn't keep those for a day. So, it all depends. Radiators, especially ones with good fans attached. Wheels are sort of hit and miss. I've got no plans to try and sell these 5-star wheels, these Goldwing 5-star wheels. However, the 11-star, I might just. That's just because the research that I've done shows that the 11-star is a little bit more rare, especially for the 83. It's a little bit more rare than the 5-stars, and so you can get a little bit more. Typically, it's not really worth selling wheels unless they are in good condition and also have good tires on them, just because they're heavy and they cost a lot to ship, and they're a pain in the ass to wrap up and everything, and people don't really want to spend a lot of money on them. Exhaust systems will fetch you quite a bit of money if they're not all rusted up like this one, if they're not all dented up and rashed up like this one, and if they don't have rust holes in them like this one, and if they're not a one-piece. This is an entire one-piece unit from a Katana, so it cannot be disassembled for shipping. So shipping for this would be ridiculous. So this is basically scrap unless someone local wants it. We were speaking about the gauges. Here's a nice, very low mileage set of gauges for a really rare bike, a Suzuki Matic. However, I don't think this one's going to get too much money for it because, just because, you know, it may be rare, but also the demand is way low. So there's a couple of these on eBay right now, and really nobody's wanting them just because nobody has these bikes. So I'll just probably get whatever for it. Shocks will bring you some money if they're not all rusted up. This pair still looks pretty good yet. If you have a good set of carburetor boots, be sure to clean them up, make sure they're not cracked, and if the rubber is still pretty supple, this rubber is getting really hard, but if it's supple and you can squeeze it, even better. Sprockets and brake rotors. Old pod filters, especially if they come in a set. Taillights. Forks, especially if there's no chrome pitting or no rust pitting in the chrome and the seals are not blown. Very nice. All of these light fixtures and light bars and fenders and all kinds of junk like that. Aftermarket parts like rear sets and elongated swing arms. Sometimes you can find those really rare parts that people really are into. For example, y'all may have heard of the starting motor problem on old Viragos. Well, if you can find some idler gears, which are good, they can go for a lot of money. This is all that's left of a Virago, which I parted out. The idler gears have been taken out of it, and I sold the idler gears for more than I paid for the entire bike. So, do a little bit of research and find out what these parts are going for. As long as it's not blown, I'll take a head off a motor and sell it. These valve covers are gone because they were really nice chrome ornamental ones. Petcocks. Brake calipers, as long as they're not seized up. Great big ass muffler canisters like this one. Even old chains are worth some money, especially if they're high quality chains like this one that are in relatively good shape. Starter motors always sell. Alright, so what you're generally left with is just a bare bones bike. You know, it might be a rolling frame with an engine in it, or the engine might not be in it if you decide to take apart the engine. There is still a market for a good bottom end, you know, or heads or whatever. You know, you can take an engine apart if you want. But then, you know, once a bike is stripped down like this, I'll generally sell it back to the motorcycle community for most of what I paid for it. Sometimes a little bit less, but whatever, you know. A bike is not generally worth more in its component parts than put together, but sometimes it is. If you get that rare bike that people really need parts for or whatever, or maybe it's a you know, a bike with a seized engine, but everything else on it is immaculate, you know, it might be worth taking it apart. You just got to figure out what's better for you. If you have the space to do it like I do, then, you know, go ahead and do it. It's really fun, you know. You get a personal relationship with all these parts, and you get greasy, and then you can know these parts by sight. And people come over, oh, what's all these parts? Oh, this is an igniter, this is, you know, a coil, this is this and that, you know, and you know it because you've taken it apart, identified it, and sold it. So it's a really good way to learn how motorcycles put together as well. So that's about it. If you guys have any questions about this, let me know. I'll be more than happy to give you all of my trade secrets. Good luck.